Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Sega Master System review as we take a look today at the game that was known as Heavyweight Champ, or also known as James Buster Douglas Boxing. This game was originally released as that title in the US in 1990 before it came out in the PAL regions in May of 1991, undergoing slight modifications and being released as Heavyweight Champ. So once the game's booted up, you'll see you've got a choice of low or high speed, which makes very little difference, and then a choice of 1 or 2 players. Choosing a 2-player match, we'll see player 1 take control of Stinging Steve Davis, the main character, whilst player 2 can select who they want to play as from the other characters within the game. Of course, the main bulk of the game is the 1-player game, which sees you control the main character as you try and become the World Heavyweight Champion. So like always, I'm going to start with visuals first, and for a 1990/1991 8-bit boxing game, Heavyweight Champ is pretty impressive in terms of visuals, certainly as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, we've got pretty big, fairly detailed characters, and they've got pretty good animations for all of the punches and the blocks that they can pull off. The rings themselves are nice and bright and colourful, and they look quite decent, and even the fans in attendance, you can see that certainly the first front few rows at least anyway have got faces, and it actually gives the impression that you're fighting in a big arena, which is quite impressive, I think, for this point in time on the Master System. In terms of all the animations for when your characters get knocked down and the intermission animations, it looks good in those regards as well. I haven't really got anything bad or negative to say about Heavyweight Champ. Even the sprite flicker is very, very low, and we know in Master System games that can be an issue at points in time, but I feel in Heavyweight Champ everything just looks as good as it possibly could. So moving on to sound effects and music next, and Heavyweight Champ actually performs quite well in this area too, because we've got a reasonable amount of music within the game. We've got 5 full-length tracks, 1 for each of the opponents that you'll be facing, and a few other little bits of music here and there too, so it keeps it nice and lively and you're not hearing the same tune over and over again. In terms of the sound effects within the matches themselves, they sound quite good as well. We've got a few different sound effects for the punches and when you hit your special move as well, and yes, they do get a little bit repetitive, but in terms of the quality, I actually think they're quite good. So what I'm going to do is what I always do, give you some samples of the music within the game. So moving on to the gameplay next, and the game follows a very simple structure. Take control of either Buster Douglas or Stinging Steve Davis, depending on which version of the game you're playing, and beat your way through all the opponents until you are the World Heavyweight Champion. Your character starts with 1 out of 5 in all of his statistics, and you need to win matches in order to gain more attribute points. If you win the match via a knockout, you will get 3 bonus attribute points, but if you win by TKO, you will only gain 2, so it is really worthwhile trying to put your opponent's way with a much more vicious knockout rather than 3 knockdowns in the same round. In terms of the punches at your disposal, button 1 will use all of your left-handed attacks and button 2 will use all of your right-handed attacks. You can pull off a variety of body shots, uppercuts and jabs, as well as your powerful super punch where you hold down both punch buttons and then release it to try and knock your opponent halfway across the screen with a devastating hit. You can also block by pressing up and down as well, so there's actually a reasonable amount of attacks within the game. And in terms of how well does it play, that is where it starts to have the wheels fall off a little bit, because it's by no means a fantastic playing game. You don't really feel like you're in truly great control of your characters. It does feel a bit sluggish to play, and it's definitely not the most responsive of games from that period in time. All being said though, it is by no means a terrible playing game, and it is relatively enjoyable to play through, at least once anyway. So moving on to content and lifespan next, and to be fair, it is a pretty minimalistic affair. We do have a 2-player mode, which is nice because it's not always in a lot of Master System games. Quite a lot of Master System games were 1-player only experiences, but it doesn't really add a whole lot. To be fair, in terms of the main 1-player game, there's 5 fighters to face off against, beat all of those, and you will be the World Heavyweight Champion. Once you've actually won the first fight, which is the hardest one in the game, it isn't too much of a hard game to win. And in fact, probably within playing it for 20-25 minutes the first time you've ever played it, you'll have completed the game, and there won't really be a whole lot of incentive to go back and play it again. So in terms of content and lifespan, the game is quite weak. So like always, that leaves me with my 2 final questions. Is Heavyweight Champ / Buster Douglas Boxing still worth playing today? And does it feature in our Master System top 10? Well, in terms of is it worth playing, if you like your old 8-bit games, it's not bad as a boxing game, certainly to play through at least once. Are you ever going to play it again? Probably not. Now, does it have the quality to make our Master System top 10? As you can see, the top 10 going up the screen now, we have got some very good games in there, all the way down to Outrun in 10th, and Heavyweight Champ isn't quite good enough to get into it. I feel it just plays a little bit too sluggish. You don't feel you have a truly great amount of control over your fighter. But of course, these are just my thoughts and my thoughts alone. I'm not going to lie, when I bought this game, when it came out many years ago, I played this game to absolute death, just like all of us kids in my area that I lived did when we got new games. Because it was such a rare occurrence to get a brand new game, you always made the most of playing it. But of course, playing it now, you're definitely not going to get that same sense of enjoyment. But of course, these are just my thoughts and my thoughts alone. If your thoughts differ, if you would have put it in my Master System top 10, let me know with a comment down below. And like always, I'll be back in the near future with another video. Goodbye for now.